Welcome to Hard Talk, Hard Topic, and what I consider to be sometimes hard truths. This is a micro learning to help you understand how to manage emotionally weak team members. There are just times when we're not quite sure how to handle team members that may be dealing with different types of issues, and this is to help you think outside of the box and understand where they actually are. Are you dealing with a team member that is really having a issue? Are you dealing with someone who has a pattern of issues that happen all the time? And that's what we're going to discuss today. All right, let's keep going. I am Takesha Bromell. I am the founder and CEO of Girl Friday Business Solutions and your trainer for today. You can get all of that information later or on my LinkedIn page. So I'm going to keep going. Let's keep going. So number one is I wanted to share with you is that there's a leadership cheat code that I like to give leaders that helps them understand how to handle different types of things, but is usually the hard talk, the hard topic. And today, again, as we're talking, we are talking about emotionally weak people and being able to understand if they're emotionally weak or if they're actually just having a problem. And so for you, the bigger thing is helping you decide faster what you're dealing with, understanding what you're dealing with, protecting the culture because the longer you delay in supporting that team member or possibly correcting that team member, the longer the results can really affect you. And then retaining your best people because when people start to see you not being able to make decisions quickly, they start to feel that maybe you're not the leader for them, and then they start to decide to actually to fire you and to leave. And we don't want that. We want to retain our best people and have our best people doing the work. So that is the reason why we're doing this. In addition, what one of the things that I know that I had to deal with earlier on in my career is understanding that we all deal with the same things when we're in leadership. Either we're going to train you and help, or train the team member and help them. We want to coach them, we want to correct them, or we need to terminate them. And understanding when and where it's appropriate to do any of those things is absolutely important. And so that is the leadership dilemma that we all deal with. So let's talk about a little bit about like what is and who is and what is an emotional weakness, that what it does it look like. Let's say what is not. It is not when a person is having a tough season, they've had a death in their family, they've had some issues that popped up, family issues. That is not an emotional weak person per se. It is that they're dealing with something. There's sometimes when we're looking at them and they just really need for us to train them, right? And then number three is someone that's lacking confidence. That is a coaching issue, not an actual thing that means that they're emotionally weak. Now, what is it then? It's a repeated pat. It's a repeated pat. I can't even say that. A repeated pattern of avoidance. It is excuses over effort. It is dependence on others to carry their load. Let me give you a few more. Difficulty handling criticism, overdependence on others, avoidance of conflict, low self awareness. That means that they are having some issues with emotional intelligence, excessive worry about others' opinions, blaming others for personal problems, emotional outbursts, fear of change or challenge, neglecting personal needs. Is another big one as well. And then expecting sympathy instead of solutions. That is what, when you're looking at an emotional weak person, the first thing that I want you to do is just take a moment and see if any of those things that I just named rang true. Like go through your list of things and understand also that if it's not emotional weakness, understanding what it is and helping guide them to what the help where the help is going to be absolutely important as well. So then again, talking about the 48-hour rule, what does that look like? Recover. This is where you can recover within 48 hours and understand what your next steps are. Okay, how it works. Give clear feedback. Go back to your team member, give clear feedback, and then set a 48-hour window for correction. Say, this is what I want to see. And then stay back and watch the response. If they come back and they're still having issues, you need to define and understand that there could be a skill gap issue where you need to train them. There could be a confidence gap where you just need to coach them, or there could possibly be emotional weakness. Now, we're not going to talk about terminating. That's a whole another big topic, mammoth topic to talk about, but we are going to talk about correcting and how you do that in this session, okay? So why 48 hours? Patterns reveal themselves fast. High performers correct quickly because they care. Weak patterns spiral no matter how much time you give them. And so once you give them 48 hours, if they come back to you and they are negative, they are spiraling, that is, there you go. We can start to say that maybe you're dealing with an emotionally weak person and they probably need some emotional intelligence training right off the bat. So let me give you some tips that will, I think, support what we're talking about today. Number one is the leadership lesson. Number one is that confusing a confidence issue with emotional weakness. If you're dealing with a team member and they have confidence issues, it is a coaching place to be. It's where you start to coach them. And that's how underperforming teams are built when you start to allow team members to stay there and not help them through coaching them. So that is like one of the bigger topics to talk about is to make sure that you're understanding where your team member is, and that as you're understanding where your team member is, that you're understanding what the next steps are in the process. Number two, if you have to correct, let's say you've coached, you've trained, you've gone through the process, and now it's time for you to correct. Here is something that I want you to take with you, that correction isn't harsh. It doesn't have to be harsh, but it has to be clear. You have to be able to say what the problem is and name the behavior or the issue. When deadlines slip, the team pays this price. In what way does the team pay the price when this person is slipping? State the expectation. Here's what must change, and it must change now. You also need to anchor this in accountability. Here's how we're going to measure it, and not only how we're going to measure it, the time frame in between. And then you need to be the big leader in this and make sure that you're following up with this information and that you're following up to make sure that it's taking place and that the person has accountability. So, how was that? What do you think about that? I would love for you to share information and share in comments and tell me what you think about that. Is that something that you feel like could be helpful for you in identifying who is emotionally weak and then supporting them through the correction part of it? Also, understanding when to train, when to coach, when to correct, and then when it's time to terminate. If you want more information, if you want to be trained or have your leaders be trained in this very quick understanding of the micro learning, in the 48-hour rule, there's three ways you can connect with me. You can connect with me through an impact session, 2 hours, half day, full day, where I can come in and train your team. White label, where we provide the training for you. And then also on top of that is the fractional chief culture officer, where I come in on a quarterly basis. I train your team members, and then we also do on-demand training monthly. So there are a multitude of different ways that we can actually support you in what you're doing. I am hoping that this 48-hour rule is going to be helpful for you. That this is a hard talk, hard topic, and a hard truth that sometimes we have team members that we have to really reel in and support them. And I'm hoping that this training will help you do the very same. Talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.